Why did Prigozhin turn around? What do you think was behind all this, Scott?
The first thing we have to acknowledge is it was an armed insurrection. Wagner, under arms, revolted against government rule. Now, Prigozhin will say, I did it because I'm anti-Shoigu, anti-Gerasimov. I mean, just imagine if an American mercenary group, let's say Blackwater, decided, what the heck, we're going to get inside our U.S. government-funded helicopters and vehicles, and we're going to drive to Washington, D.C. To kick out Lloyd Austin and General Miley. We're not going to touch Joe Biden, just Austin and Miley. Would people call that a coup? Of course it's a coup, because by saying that you want to get rid of Lloyd Austin and General Miley, you're saying that Joe Biden has no authority, that you are a higher authority than the elected president. Let's just stop the nonsense of pretending this wasn't a coup. It was a coup. It was designed to topple the government of Vladimir Putin. Now, the question is why? Well, we have some insight now. We know that Prigozhin, again, he's a businessman. He's not a military leader. People need to understand that. Wagner is a private military company. It's not an army. It has no sovereign status. It exists because the Russian government funded it to the tune of $940 million in an annual contract that was signed on 1 May 2022, due to expire 1 May 2023. And because Prigozhin had difficulties with Shoigu, and because of the legal aspects of the Donetsk and Lugansk People's Republic becoming Russia, meaning that private military contract can't exist, the contract wasn't going to be extended. Wagner, if it was going to continue to exist, had to sign a contract with the Ministry of Defense and become a volunteer unit under the auspices of the Ministry of Defense. This means that Shoigu would lose all that money. He didn't want to lose that money. He didn't want that contract. This was always about money. This was about greed. Prigozhin's greed put the security of Russia, et cetera, at risk. So he was driving on Moscow to get Shoigu and Gerasimov to back down, to say, no, that Wagner could exist under some sort of special extra legal status. Wasn't going to happen. Putin wasn't going to bend. And had Prigozhin kept going, he was going to die. Putin had put 2,500 special forces in Serpukov. The lead elements of Wagner had run into them, reported back that these guys are serious. They're going to kill us all. Rostov had been surrounded by 10,000 Chechen Akhmat special forces who were under orders to go in and kill Prigozhin and kill or capture all of the Wagner people, had Prigozhin not given up. So Prigozhin gave up because he was going to die, straight up. In order to prevent bloodshed, Putin and Lukashenko, the president of Belarus, agreed that Prigozhin and those who committed treason, and Putin is quite clear about what happened, they get to go to Belarus. The other people, the 17,000 that stayed in their camps, they get to sign contracts with the Ministry of Defense or go home. Was there Western intelligence support? We know that Prigozhin was in contact with Ukrainian intelligence, which means that he was indirectly, at least, in contact with Western intelligence, because Ukrainian intelligence doesn't operate without Western intelligence. Was he operating on behalf of the U.S. intelligence and British intelligence services? That we don't know yet. But what we do know is that the U.S. and British intelligence services knew that Prigozhin was going to make a move on Moscow, was briefed to the Gang of Eight, the top 8 congressional leaders, by the CIA days before Prigozhin made a move. The British Prime Minister was briefed as well. And we now know that the U.S. government expected this to be bloody, meaning that they were hoping that this would become a civil war that could topple or at least damage Putin. Whether they were behind it or just tacitly supporting it, again, we don't know, but they did nothing to stop it, which is problematic because Russia is a nation with tactical nuclear weapons, with strategic nuclear weapons. And is it really sound policy to have a rogue mercenary element going in to threaten the Russian government when they're at a war for their existential survival? This was a very dangerous move on the West. What should have happened is a phone call should have been made to Putin warning him of this so that this could have been nipped in the bud. But we didn't do that because we wanted this to happen. We hoped it became violent. And as we now know, Tony Blinken has admitted it, we hoped this because we thought it would give opportunities for the Ukrainian forces in the field. But it's all failed. It's all collapsed. This was about greed, nothing more. And Vladimir Putin has emerged stronger. I won't say that this is ideal. You know, it's sort of a banana republic move to have a mercenary force make a move on Moscow. Just like January 6th was embarrassing for the United States, this was an embarrassment for Vladimir Putin. He's not weaker because of it, but this was not a good look for Russia.